Welcome to the WoW podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories and insights from our university community. Tune in for conversations about growth, success, and the power of communication in the academic world. So get ready to soar with us on the wings of wisdom.
Today's episode of the Wings of Wisdom podcast, we are honored to welcome Dr. John Swope, our esteemed Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and Assistant Professor of Practical Theology. Dr. Swope joined Ashland University in 2007, directing a pre-seminary program, and began at the seminary in 2012. He is also a graduate of the seminary, and he has brought a wealth of experience from several other academic institutions. Join us as we delve into insights on fostering student success and his journey in shaping the academic landscape at Ashland University.
Thank you, DJ, and thank you so much, Dr. Swope, for being a part of our podcast today, our Wings of Wisdom podcast for the Writing and Communication Center. In addition to being having a PhD, you're also a reverend, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
That's wonderful, and we just appreciate everything that you could contribute to our community. That had to be a process. Could you talk a little bit about how you started in higher ed and your undergraduate years?
Oh gosh, how long do you have? Well, what did you say the time frame for this was? Well, first of all, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm grateful to do this. Yeah, the word that I continue to use for my path is circuitous. It's not a word that we use really anywhere other than you might see it written down, but it's a lot of fun to say. It wandered. Yeah, I started out at Bowling Green in industrial arts education, technology education, but that was a glorified word for industrial arts, and wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but you know, I'll make this story short. I actually graduated in that field, and then only taught in industrial arts for 3 years before I wandered into other things. I knew that isn't where I wanted to stay for the rest of my life. So I got a degree in educational leadership, thinking I might go into administration. And then I ended up getting certified in math and taught in math for, I guess, 3 of my last 8 years teaching middle school. So as far as, and then after that's when I eventually then went into ministry, and I felt called, and so I came to Ashland in the 90s and got a Master of Divinity. Knowing that at some point I'd probably go on and get a PhD, but I got experience in ministry. I spent about 13 years in full-time ministry. During that time, started back at a PhD program at Trinity in Chicago. And so I got a PhD in systematic theology, you know, a great, wonderful thing. But my heart's always been with practical. So I'm actually a professor of assistant professor, let's be accurate here, we're in academia of practical theology, because that's where my heart is. So that's the education. Leadership, though, started long before that. I spent a lot of time in my elementary school principal's office being told I was a born leader and telling me I needed to use my power for good. But I did not listen to her. I liked to lead from the back. I liked to be that obnoxious smart aleck kid who didn't raise his hand and caused teachers problems. And I think that's why God made me a middle school teacher for 8 years. So
to teach you a lesson.
Yeah. Oh, just to teach me what it meant to really be. Here's the thing about leadership. Okay, here's one of my major lessons. Leadership is not just about influencing people. I mean, that's what leaders do. But leadership really is about what you're responsible for, right? What you're accountable. I mean, to be accountable for something is to be a leader. And sitting in the other side of a teacher's desk, you know, not out in the classroom in a middle school, really you start to understand what leaders go through and what it's like to gather the troops and get them moving in a desired direction, get them wanting to move in a desired direction. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, actually, when I came to the university, I was in a leadership role. I started at the university in 2007, leading a pre-seminary program. And then when I came to the seminary, I was leading as a director of theology, field education. And so it was always that the status as a faculty and full faculty status, but I'm technically an administrator with faculty status. So that's the nuts and bolts of my time here at the university.
You mentioned a really specific, interesting term, Is there a way that you could explain practical theology to a layman?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Practical theology is the practice of theological things. So it's the preaching, it's the pastoral care and counseling, it's the leading and worship, it's the boots on the ground. It's theology expressed, faith in action, if you will, and the study of that. So it's where biblical studies and more systematic theology or history gets hands and feet. So
So it's boots on the ground. It's actually walking the walk.
yeah, exactly. And it's a terrible term because that implies that people in systematic theology don't walk the walk, right? That's obviously not what's implied.
Mhm. Very good, very good. That's really yeah, because it seems like such a abstract term, but it's really something that you're living. You're
Sure.
just doing by action. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the seminary is training people to do that well, right? So
Mhm.
it's not just, not just doing it, but learning how to do it, learning how to help others do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. DJ?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I would like to ask maybe a little softball question. What do you enjoy doing the most?
At work or just in life?
Either or. How about both?
Um, I am in Clifton strengths, analysis and strategy are two of my top. Okay. And I love to take things and pick them apart and figure out how they're working and why they're not working, and then create something better out of that. So I love it when my job can work to recreate and make something better than it was when I was handed it. So curriculum design, love it. Developing leaders, in a sense, taking people and helping them become more than they were, when I started with where they are. That's all part of who I am. I really love that about my work, and stepping into this new role this past fall as this associate dean in academics has helped me do that on a grander scale. I'm not just doing that with the experience of students in their field education, but now I'm getting to participate with every department and every faculty person to help make sure that our approach to curriculum, our modalities, our pedagogy practices, all of that are constantly being improved to be the best they can be. So that's just like, I'm in a happy place, right? So that's good. Yeah, personally, I love the outdoors. If you want to know what I enjoy the most, I love being outdoors. I'm real excited. Next week, my wife and I are going to Boulder, Colorado. While she goes to a conference, I'm going to be working, but I'll still be able to enjoy, the sights and sounds and smells of mountains. So I'm a happy camper.
Do
I
some
won't
Sound like a productive
sit
man.
and watch.
do some hiking and just explore.
A little bit, yeah, when I have time, sure.
Well, if you need a fly fishing rod, I'll lend you mine.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. I'm not a fisherman, but you can come on with me.
Just the fisher of men.
Sure, yeah, okay, we'll go there.
So expanding on that, how do you engage with faculty to get them on board with your projects, to get them how do you sell your ideas and make this collective goal happen?
Yeah, well, here's a teaching moment. Well, if anybody who hears this, whenever you present change to a group, don't ever present the change to the group for the first time. All right, you work in subgroups and individuals ahead of time. So matter of fact, we just launched a experimental schedule. I was given a task by the executive dean to reduce the number of canceled classes and under-enrolled classes. So I did a huge analysis of our students, who's taking what and and how many hours they're taking, and how they're taking it. Anyway, and so I had to really change. It's going to be reduce the number of courses we're offering every semester, in order to be just more fiscally viable. Which looks like it might be working. We don't know yet. It won't be launched until the summer and fall, but so far so good. But anyway, so the way I did that is I did the work. I did the data. I distilled it into communication that could make sense to the faculty, and then I started talking to faculty heads, heads of the departments, just in casual conversation. One of the best way, I think, to present change in leading people is to not say this is what we're going to do, but you say, hey, you know what? This is something I've been thinking about. This is what I've been working on. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is, what problems do you see? Do you think this is on the right track? And just do that, one-on-one or in a small group and let them give you feedback. And then when you present it to the whole faculty, which I did, we had some questions, but man, it was like it's smooth sailing. I was like, wow, that's a miracle. Because faculty can be, they've got a lot of ideas, and
Yes.
and so it worked pretty well. So yeah, just a lot of contact time, a lot of clear communication, and then to maintain that, I see the faculty every month in our faculty meetings. I see the department chairs every month in our academic council meetings. So and plus the informal in the hallways, so that's all good too.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think DJ is going to continue with our innovative initiatives question.
Okay.
Yes. Are there any new initiatives or programs that your department has introduced to enhance the academic experience for students?
Oh yeah, we've been doing quite a few things actually. This past fall, we launched a cohort model of our 37-hour degree. It's in Applied Bible and Theological Studies, and the students go through this together, and it's a subscription model. So we're only paying $400 a month, and that's what they pay 12 months a year to get through this thing. And they go through the summers. It takes I think it's 6 semesters. I think it's 6 semesters to get through it. So that's kind of a neat thing. So we're flexing that, we're making adjustments as we go along, but that's something we're doing. We also are exploring certificate programs. So through the Lilly Grant and Lilly Foundation, we have 2 certificate programs that we're offering. They're going really well. One is faith-based entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship, but it's about business and starting new initiatives and welding that with your faith. And so we've got a cohort going through that, and that's gone really, really well. We're excited about that. The other certificate is Thriving in Ministry. It's for pastors who just need a boost and need to kind of recenter and strive, because pastorate's a brutal profession. People get burned out in ministry all the time. And it's not a cakewalk where you work 1 day a week. It's really tough. So that's a certificate that has gone really extremely well. We've had subgroups now where we've done. I think we did we're doing a Latino group of Thriving in Ministry. We've done, there was a denomination that one for the whole denomination, so we're doing that. So yeah, those are some great initiatives that we're working on, and we're working on a grant right now that it focuses on rural and small town pastors and churches, which is sometimes gets overlooked because urban, gets a lot of the attention. We've got these little tiny towns and little tiny churches that really are struggling to deal with the change in our culture and society. And so Lilly is funding that. We don't have it yet, but we have we're hoping to get the proposal grant, and then if we can, we'll ask that grant at the end of the summer. So a lot of things going on here.
And that would help you extend service to a broader community?
Oh, absolutely. We're positioned right now. The 3 things that they want to do are help leaders in churches, help churches really find their mission and ministry, and help churches become anchor institutions in their community, really working with the resources in their community to meet the needs of people. So, we're positioned very easily for that first one. That's what we already do. But we don't have to just do it directly, offer a seminar for the pastors, we can work through hub organizations like denominations. So we've got partnerships that we're making even now to get that set up. So we'll be working through those hubs of denominational affiliations that we have, mostly in the Anabaptist tradition, but some in others. And that would assist them to get what those pastors and churches need. And of course, in the proposal phase, that's the first thing we'll be doing is nailing down what is it that they need and how is it that we can help them meet those needs.
Yeah, it must be so wonderful to know how many lives you could touch and affect.
Well, that's the hope, right? Ripple, little pebble in the pond, see what we can do.
And so I imagine as you do that stuff, technology is playing a huge role in how you address these issues and how you move forward and kind of expand your projects. Can you talk a little bit about how it plays a role in what you do?
Oh, gosh, well, it's huge, right? I mean, technology and online education, it's just the thing in higher ed. We're all struggling to figure out how do we do this and do it well. And so, technology, hence, what we're doing right now, it increases accessibility, right? So, I mean, students can have access to it. But there's that balance between access and really powerful, holistic, integrated human interaction. The truth is, everyone knows there's a difference between online and in-person encounter, right? I don't know of any dating service that it doesn't, the intention isn't to have people meet face to face once they've met online, right? I mean, everybody wants to go to that next stage because being in person is different, but then if you require online, you've reduced accessibility. So how do you engage people in dynamic, transformative ways? So that's really the edge of what we're working on. Now, what COVID taught us is that face-to-face on the computer is a great substitute for in-person. It's not the same, not quite the same, right? I mean, nobody who's in love would be happy if they only saw their loved one on screen, right? I mean, there's something about being in the same space. So we have to acknowledge that, but it does help. The live interaction with what we're doing here. This would probably be a really boring forum. Writing this back. Number one, I'm talking way too much, right? but when we're face to face online, at least we've got that interaction. So we're trying to work on that. One of the things we're really trying to do for our online classes is to include some type of real-time online interaction in most of our courses. We still have some that are totally on demand online, so that you can do it whenever you want. But some of our classes do an hour a week, some of them do 2 hours a week. Some of our doctoral classes do even longer periods of time. But trying to find that balance, baby, that's the sweet spot. So
yeah. No, definitely. In person is really nice, and it's nice to see somebody not in their pajamas, right?
Well, there's that. Of course, then we have AI with all of that stuff and GP chat and all those things. So that's another aspect of technology that we're all struggling with.
Has that been creating any issues?
Not yet. That hasn't come up as a problem either in plagiarism of students or in professors writing their lectures with chat GP. Although I've seen some of the stuff that comes out of that. It's pretty decent sometimes. So
yeah, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just like way off.
Well,
yeah. So DJ, do you want to continue with the promoting communication skills question?
Of course, yeah. I'm integrated language arts. I'm in education as well, and so I think communication is a really big part of the whole education process. And as an academic leader yourself, how do you see the importance of promoting communication skills among students?
I mean, to me, the question answers itself. I mean, it is absolutely vital. If two people cannot exchange ideas effectively, then regardless of whatever their ideas are, they're never going to go anywhere. They're never going to accomplish anything. So I think in our society we need to be helping students learn how to communicate in creative, compelling, and clear ways. Whether that's oral, written, whether that's technological, however people need to communicate, we want to help them be able to do that. Of course, tied I think closely to that is critical thinking, being able to organize your thoughts. That's one of the things I think is so important about writing papers in college. When I was in high school, why do I need to learn to write an essay? My teacher says, so you can write an essay in college. I said, well, why do I need to write an essay? I never got a good answer. I'm like, I can answer that in one sentence. It teaches you how to organize your thoughts. So if we can help students see the value of organizing their thoughts, of presenting their ideas in coherent ways so that they're not just ramblings on a page, I think we're doing pretty well. Put that with passion and ethos, you've got a pretty good combination.
Expanding on that, so what other tips would you have or advice to ensure that students are successful in their undergraduate career or graduate?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, student success I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, but it's also very broad. Um, I think, student success, is really, well, it's a little different here. I mean, it's the same for all of us, right? But in seminary, our whole goal, our motto over here is equipping modern day disciples. So for us, student success is helping them experience a transformative process of growth to where they become more Christ-like in their character. They are able to serve and to lead effectively in the world. And the way that we seek to do that is guided by our four core values, which are scripture, spiritual formation, academic excellence, and community. So I mean, that's how we do it. If I don't know, did you say you wanted tips for student success? I think every professor needs to be modeling the performance and the character that they want to see in their students. I think that's huge. I think that students and faculty and all of us need to recognize the value of each individual person. And students need to understand the value that they have as a person, and to really be able to step into their identity, so that they're able to function in life on something other than a basis of performance or approval, to where they have a centering that helps them to weather the storms that, whether it's deadlines in a class or whether it's a boss you can't get along with, whatever the storms are in your life, you got to be able to deal with that. So anyway, yeah, I think some of that. I don't know if that answers your question, but I'll stop there.
No, it does, and I think that we always stress the importance of education because we're in higher ed, but I really like that you put a huge emphasis on service as well. Because I think through that experience, we learn infinite amounts of empathy, we get more intelligent, I mean, everything. It serves us in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
DJ, do you want to ask the personal question?
Sure, yeah. Can you talk about your favorite literary work or any piece of art that just really speaks to you? Anything that you can talk on that?
Well, you'd expect me to say the Bible, so I will. The Bible, obviously. I mean, that's my book, baby. But no, in addition to that, I'm a huge C.S. Lewis fan. Not just his fiction, but just about everything he's written. Tolkien, the whole Inklings. That's kind of my clan. And then I'm currently rereading a book by George MacDonald, a 19th century pastor, novelist, theologian, that Lewis actually refers to as his master at one point. So I love his work. He's heavy, and he's also a little bit of a rebel, man. He flies in the face of his Scottish Calvinism of the day. I mean, he just doesn't care for that theology at all, and I can kind of relate. So that works for me.
Do you have a favorite book by Lewis?
Oh gosh. I mean, his fiction are powerful. I mean, Narnia is wonderful. Of his nonfiction, no, I don't think I can pick one, because they intersect, and they deal with. Actually, no. Probably one of his most powerful is a fiction. It's a retelling of the myth of Psyche called "Till We Have Faces," and it's amazing. There's a twist in that book where all of a sudden you realize what he's done, and you see yourself in an absolutely different light. It is so powerful. So yeah, I'll say that one.
So if nobody ever read him before, is that the book you'd recommend that's the first book that they read?
No.
Okay.
That would be one of the later ones, because you've got to understand him a little bit more before you read that, or you're gonna, I think, because he comes at it sideways. I mean, it's not an allegory, it's not, it's what a story really is. It's like when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden you see the world in a different way because there's something about the movie that just enlightens you. So no, I wouldn't say that. If you want to touch base with this theology, mere Christianity, you probably can't be beat. Can't go wrong with that one. If you're going to start with this fiction, man, start with Narnia, absolutely, but not in the order that sometimes it's done. In the order it was published. Much better story, much better progression if you read in the order it's published.
Okay, that's interesting.
Take that much time.
Okay.
Yeah, DJ.
I think maybe from a theological perspective in reading C.S. Lewis, something that I would recommend to people would be the Screw Tape Letters.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I wasn't even thinking of that one, but that'd be a really good introduction, actually. I mean, it's
It's not too
entertaining,
long.
thought-provoking, yeah, good stuff.
Awesome. Well, you shared a bunch of stuff about yourself, but is there a fun fact that you could share that maybe a lot of the Ashland community doesn't know about?
Yeah, I'll just pick one. My family, when my kids were little, we had a lot of very exciting vacations. Matter of fact, we called them Swope adventures. So there was one time in 2000 when we were out west and we got evacuated from Mesa Verde, the cliff dwellers, due to forest fires. And we got evacuated from Pikes Peak due to a hailstorm that dropped about 6 inches of hail on the ground. Wow. We were trapped in the visitor center for about 3 hours before we could get down in a span of about 24 hours.
Yeah, the elements could definitely change out west. Having lived in Idaho, when you're up in those mountains, yeah, you could just literally expect anything.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little fun fact.
Yeah, no, that's good. DJ, do you want to finish with the last one? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe he has something he'd like to add.
Yeah, what piece of advice would you give students to make the most out of their time at Ashland University?
Well, this is kind of been a buzzword for a while now, but being present in the moment. Don't rush through. Don't think, oh, I just got to get done with college. Certainly don't dread, getting out of college. I know some students might want to stay there. But most students I know are like, I'm so done with this. I want to get out of here. But you know what? Take your time. Really make the most of everything because everything that we experience, everything that you, a student, everything that you have experienced, everything that you are experienced, God can use for purposes and plans that you can't even dream of. And we don't have time, but I mean, just if I could tell stories of how I've used my undergraduate industrial arts for things that never had an idea. My education degree, right? My educational leadership. I mean, it helped me with leadership, but I never really thought I was going to be an associate dean one day, right? So you just never know what you experience and how it's going to affect your life.
But that is interesting because you went from one path and I don't know if it diverged or you just took a turn, but that your beginning did really inform what you do now. So if you do want to tell a story, we're happy to hear it.
Oh, well, I mean, let's just look at as an industrial arts teacher, I focused on construction and architecture. So just a little. So I have remodeled every house we've ever owned. And extensively. I mean, and I worked construction while I was getting my PhD. So that worked out. And boy, that has been fantastic on mission trips because I have done things. I drywalled, me and a team of AU students drywalled the inside of a hogan on the Navajo Nation in Arizona. Now, I mean, you can imagine I'm drywalling a flat wall with square corners is one thing. This is a 6-sided round and up in the roof. And cutting the angles and measuring them. So, it's kind of nice to be able to do things that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So that's kind of neat. That's just one story.
Do you do work in Worcester?
I don't work for anybody actually. I'm not a professional. I finally learned I can on a good day get a nice flat drywall mudded. But that is an art. Boy, that's one thing I learned about construction. Yeah.
It is, yeah. It is. Well, on behalf of the Writing and Communication Center. We just want to say thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for your insights, and especially thank you so much for your service to not just the Ashland community, but the community abroad. You're definitely a global citizen who works to better everybody that you encounter, and we're very grateful for that.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate being here. DJ, it was nice meeting you.
It's nice meeting you as well, Dr. Swope.
Thank you for tuning in to the WoW podcast, where curiosity meets inspiration. Brought to you by the Writing and Communication Center at Ashland University.